Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Vermilion Cowboy here, and I am back with an update, a little bit of an update with life and how things are going with rail transport. So the last time I left off, I think I had gotten back from phase 1 of rail transport. So I got back from Marshfield. I ended up getting home and was in contact with the operations or onboarding manager, and she initially had said most of their trainers were unavailable at the moment, and she said it was going to look like the beginning of next week is when I'd be going out. And so the very next day I'm getting messages from a trainer who is saying, you know, be ready to go today. So it was a little bit of miscommunication, but I was like, okay, fine. Last minute is it's how it's gonna be. It's all good. So I gathered my things up last minute and prepared to meet the trainer. This is before, you know, I haven't talked to any fleet manager or anything. The last time I got any word from like a management team, it was from the onboarding manager, and she said nobody was available, and it's gonna look like next week. So I had I had made plans around home. I had made some plans with family and stuff like that, and then the very next day I'm getting just text messages, be ready, this and that, to meet the trainer. So I scrambled to get my things together and went down to a drop yard here in Minnesota, and it was about an hour or so away, maybe a little bit more from us, but drop yard down in South St. Paul, and we waited there, and then the trainer showed up. So everything was good. One thing real quick, the trainer that they had placed me with was a curtain-side trainer. So I was I'm in the flatbed fleet, and they paired me up with a curtain-side trainer, and I later found out that I would eventually need to team up with another trainer after the initial training of phase 2 to get training on tarps and chains and things like that. So yeah, that wasn't great. I would have preferred to be with a flatbed trainer, you know, so whatever. But you know, I got picked up by the guy. Nice enough guy. He laid out the rules of the truck and this and that, and how things were going to go. So we're trucking along, and we get to, we're heading for Minnesota. We're going back into Wisconsin, and he says we're going to head on back to Marshfield. So that was cool. I, at this point, I'm pretty familiar with Marshfield. As soon as we got into the Wisconsin border there from Minnesota, we stopped at a truck stop, fueled up. He showed me how kind of some fueling things, and then he had me do a quick pre-trip, and then I hopped into the driver's seat and I started driving. So that was good. It was nice to be back into a driver's seat. It had been a few days, and after not driving a truck for a while, especially a manual, you just feel kind of rusty. So it was good to be back in the driver's seat. This Freightliner was a 2021 automatic, so there was a little bit of a learning curve there, but it was a sweet truck. Drove real nice, and those automatics, man, those are pretty slick. So we're driving along, no problem. I drove from I think it was like Hudson, Roberts, Wisconsin area, all the way to Marshfield, and at this point it was about 8:30, so it was some night driving. It was my first time night driving with the truck and trailer, but we got into Marshfield, and at that point we just parked, and we just got ready to crash for the night at the Marshfield terminal. So I got my stuff situated up in the bunk. I felt like maybe I might have brought a little too much stuff. I mean, I don't think so. I initially thought it was a decent amount of things to bring while packing on the light side, especially if you're going to be out for a month. But the amount of room that you get in those trucks is not very much. If it's just you in the truck, it's a good size. You have enough room to put whatever, but the amount of stuff you need to bring with you, it all has to be on your bunk. And I figured that's how it was going to be, but that bunk is small, and when you get up there, the ceiling, I mean, there's no sitting up in that top bunk at all to like situate your things or roll out your sleeping bag. The ceiling is here, so you're like, you know, there's not a lot of room up in that bunk. It was a little claustrophobic, but it worked out fine. There were some windows up in the top bunk, so that was nice because I could crack the window if it got a little warm and all that. So the next morning, you know, we had made a plan. We were going to wake up. We were going to go do a drop of the stuff he had already in the trailer, and it was right down the road in Marshfield, one of the local Masonite places. So we woke up. I went and grabbed some coffee from the driver's lounge and just kind of got cleaned up. We started heading out. And after our first stop, which was fine, you know, we just, you know, unloaded the trailer and whatever, and I got to do all the driving and this and that. But I started to notice that the trainer, he was showing some obvious signs of sickness. The guy was, he was coughing all the time. He was hacking stuff up. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing a lot of talking. He was you could tell he was kind of feeling under the weather, but you know, he wasn't really saying much about it. But I was actually getting a little bit uneasy about it. I mean, I'm supposed to live with this guy in his truck for 30 days or so, you know, a month. You know, I know they say it's 19 to 21 days on the road, or like phase 2 training, but that's when you're driving. So that's not counting 34-hour resets, or any time you're not driving. It's nice. So you're going to be out there for more like 30 days. So we're getting along, and we're going along the road. You know, we did another job that wasn't too far from Marshfield, and it was a drop and hook job, no problem. But you know, the guy, he's just obviously not feeling well, and you know, my first thought is like, Jesus, this guy got COVID? Does he got the corona or what? Man, I don't want to get sick from this dude. But you know, whatever. I just kept my mouth shut and just kept on going. Eventually, we got another load, and we were going to start heading to Ohio, but he wanted to stop off at the Appleton terminal, so we stopped off at the Appleton terminal in Wisconsin. And he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, I'm just gonna park. I'm just gonna rest for a little bit. And he's like, go in, get some food, do whatever you need to do, whatever. So I was like, all right. I just figured, he's not feeling well. He just wants to take a quick nap or something, whatever. But whatever. I went into the terminal and kind of found my way around. I found that there was like a courtesy car that you could use, so I used that and navigated into town there in Appleton, and got myself something to eat and just kind of whatever. Got back to the terminal, back to the truck, and he's lights out, man. He's passed out in the sleeper. He's tired. I get it. He's not feeling well, whatever. But so I go back in the terminal, and there's like a driver's lounge. I get some coffee, just reset myself, get cleaned up, whatever. And but after 4 hours pass by, I'm starting to just get a little uneasy, because I'm not hearing anything from like the trainer. I'm not hearing anything from the fleet manager. And at this point, I still haven't heard from my fleet manager at this time. Apparently the guy was out of the office. So, 6 hours go by. We got to that terminal about 3 p.m, and now it is evening time, and I'm still not hearing anything. What's going on? What are we doing? Whatever. So I talked to another guy in the driver's lounge, and he's like, yeah, there's like bunk rooms if you don't want to stay, in the truck with the dude. I was like, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. So I went back out to the truck, and I was going to try and just, whatever, just crash it out. But the dude was in there, and he had the heat cranked up because he must have been having, like really not feeling good. and he was just sleeping, and it's really small in that truck, and when you're in there with a dude who's just feeling like that sick, you just don't want to be in there, man. So I was in there for about an hour, couldn't handle it anymore. I didn't want to open the window because if the dude's sick, I don't want him to get more sick. So I went in and tried to find one of those bunk houses or the bunk rooms or whatever. So I got in there. You swipe your card, you get a key. Luckily, there was an available one. I think there's only like 6 rooms, and got in there, and it was really nice. I was super like happy that I had a little spot and could just kind of rest up and kind of whatever. But I ended up going to bed without knowing what the hell was going on. Like, what was the plan? Was I gonna get another trainer, or is this dude gonna feel better in the morning with the like, what is the deal? What's the plan? What happened to the trip to Ohio? What happened to the load? What are we doing? So I end up going to bed. I wake up about 2 in or something, and I'm just not feeling good now. Now I'm feeling like shit. And it's when you just feel sick, you stand up and you're like, Jesus. So I called in to the fleet manager line, knowing that my fleet manager's not there, obviously, and even if he was in the office this time, he's not working in the middle of the night. So there's like a night shift FTM. And so I kind of told her, hey, this is the situation. My trainer's sick. I haven't heard from anybody. I don't really have a fleet manager. What the hell? It's like, I'm new. This is, I'm only a couple days into phase 2 here. I'm new. I need to, I don't have any, guidance on this. And now I'm not feeling well. What should I do? She's like, well, there's nothing we can do about it right now. She's like, I'll take down your name and number, and we'll leave a message for someone to get back to you in the morning, and we'll take it from there. So I say, okay, great. I go back to bed, and I just wait to hear from somebody in the morning. I get a text from the trainer finally, back at the truck, and he says he's still not feeling well. He's just sleeping, and he's canceled the loads for today. I told him now I'm not feeling well, and I am trying to get a hold of somebody in the management team and see what I can do, possibly delay the training, get home and recover, something. I don't know. He says, take your time, do what you need to do, whatever. So I'm still in the bunk room. I'm waiting for a call in the morning. It's about 8 or 9. I'm not hearing anything. So I call back in. I try to get a hold of somebody. I do get a hold of somebody. It's not my fleet manager, but it's a fleet manager. And she says, I explain the situation. I tell her what's going on. And she says, we've talked it over, and what we want you to do is just wait it out. Just wait it out with the sick trainer. So I said, okay, great. It's not really what I wanted to hear, but that was that. So I go back into the terminal. I had stepped out to make this phone call, and the guy at the desk, he tells me now he needs the bunk room back because they need to take the time to clean and refresh the room or whatever. So now I had to give up the bunk room, and now I was told to wait it out for what I'm expecting was another 24 hours. And now my only like option was to sit in the truck with the sick dude or in the driver's lounge for like another 24 hours. So after a couple more hours, I finally just call back in. I say, I need to talk to somebody. This isn't working out for me just sitting here. I'm not making money. I'm not getting really clear leadership other than to just sit here. I need to talk to someone. So they transfer me to Sam, the onboarding manager, and I tell her what's going on. I say, hey, you assigned me with a sick trainer. Now I'm sick, and I just, I'd prefer to go back home and verify the severity of my illness and recover at home rather than sitting at this terminal, just sitting here, without any resources, without anything, whatever. And she says, the first thing she says to me is, well, maybe you're not sick at all. Maybe you're just unfit for the OTR trucking industry. And at that point, I had just felt so disrespected. I was already feeling like shit. And this person to say this to me, I'm just trying to figure this out. I hadn't had really good guidance this whole entire beginning of this experience. And this is what this person's going to say to me. So it was just incredibly, you know, I was incredibly just set back. Just really couldn't believe it. So, yeah. She goes on to tell me that, you know, what are you going to do if you're in Colorado someday and you get sick? Are you just going to want to go home? And I told her, you know, well, at that point, I will probably be in my own truck and have my own space with my own resources, and then I can rest up and wait it out, you know. But for now, you know, I'm new to this industry. I have limited resources, and I really don't have a space to recover in, except for with a dude who I can possibly get sicker from. So, what this person was telling me was, if I was going to go home, then I would have to work Thanksgiving coming up. And she's like, is this really something you want to do? You want to work a holiday? Nobody wants to do that. And I just told her, you know, this is not starting out great, and I'm not just going to sit here with a sick trainer, and if you guys aren't going to do anything about it, then I'm just going to be proactive and do what I got to do. So she transfers me over to a safety person, safety department, and they're telling me they want all the medical forms from me and any test results, COVID test results, this and that, once I go back and see the doctor, which is fine, whatever. And then that was it. That was it. There was no, this is a location of a rental car place to get you back. This is a location of an airport. This is, you know, there was no assistance in how to get back. It was just the weirdest and most like unprofessional and uncomfortable situation I had been in, because there was just no support. There was no leadership or guidance, or like, there was just nothing there. And I was kind of feeling a little off about this thing when the only thing I had was a text message from a trainer saying, you're going to meet me today, when, you know, I wasn't prepared for that. And I hadn't heard from a fleet manager yet. So I was feeling odd about that. And then getting into this part where I'm feeling stranded now at this terminal where I've never been before, with no, like, hey, no one's touching base with me. Hey, your trainer's sick. This is what you're going to do. Blah, blah, blah. This and that. Just wait it out. And then when I finally can try and tell somebody that, yo, I'm feeling ill as well, they're trying to say, well, maybe you're not sick at all, you know, just unfit. So, you know, whatever. At that point, I had to start doing my own research, and figured out that there was a couple enterprise car rental places in town. So I called an Uber, got an Uber, and had him drop me off up at the car rental spot. And that was a whole problem. That took about 2 hours, just a wasted time. Apparently Enterprise, they have a real big problem renting you a car if you've got an out-of-state license. If you got an out-of-state license, you can't use like a bank card or like a debit card. It needs to be like a credit card, you know, like a MasterCard, or, you know, just a straight-up credit card. And not only that, they on top of the rental car fee, they need like another $300 deposit. So if you don't got a credit card with that kind of credit line, you're in trouble. I found another third-party car rental place, but they wouldn't accept my license because I still had my paper license for the new CDL. So they said because they're, you know, fraudulent things happening, they couldn't accept a paper license, and it was out of state. So renting a car was becoming a problem. So I ended up having to go to the airport in Appleton there. I had to get a ticket, you know, sit there for about 4 hours and wait for a plane to take off and head back down to Minneapolis in Minnesota. So that was the beginning of my phase 2 debacle with Roehl, man. It was not a great experience, and I hope it's just my experience that they had rushed me out. I felt like they had rushed me out the door. They put me with a trainer. I don't know, somehow didn't know this trainer was sick, and then just didn't have like very good communication with me. So hopefully this is just my experience and other people are having a better time. Most of my class right now from phase 1, they're out with their trainers now, and they're doing great from what I've heard. One of my friends from Alabama, well, he lives in Wisconsin, but we call him Bama. He went out and he's starting to crush it, man. He got a couple thousand miles in the first couple days or something, and he's been all over the place. He's doing great, so good for him. Another buddy left, I think it was yesterday, and he had to fly to, I think he had to fly to Georgia or something to start his training, but good for them, man. I think my roommate from phase 1, I think he's doing well too, and people are hanging in there, so that's good to hear. I'm glad that's working out for those guys, and that they didn't have the same experience that I did. So when I get back, from the airport, luckily I had my wonderful wife pick me up and get me home, and I was just getting actually sicker by the day. I was so happy to be home feeling that sick, because I am certain I had a light case of strep throat or something. Like, I was not feeling good, like bad enough where I had quarantined myself away from my family just because at that point I didn't know what I had. So the next day I went in to the doctor and got checked out, got a COVID test done, and then about 3-4 days later got the negative results. So that was great. It was just a good peace of mind, because I didn't know. My trainer was from Pennsylvania. I didn't know what he was sick with. I just didn't know. It's not something I wanted to get. It's not something I wanted to bring home to my kids and my wife. So that was that. But so being home, I had taken some time to really reconsider things with Roehl. I had felt like if I went back out, that maybe things would have been better, but just dealing with that person, that onboarding manager, and the disrespect and the lack of support, and the person telling me that maybe I'm not sick, that was just I don't know, enough for me to say, yeah, maybe this isn't the right step for me. So as it is of now, I am no longer driving with Roehl Transport. So I ended up calling that same person back and telling him, basically, after our last conversation, you really helped to convince me that this position isn't right, and I'm not going to complete the training with Roehl. So there's no shame in that. I went to the phase 1, and I secured my Class A commercials driver's license. And I did that on my own. I put in the hard work and I got the license. So that is no problem. And at this point, luckily, my family, we still own our photography business, and we're going to just keep that going for now. But we have been on the search for maybe a local CDLA position, something like that. I know those are incredibly difficult to get with not much experience, but things happen for a reason, and I believe that this is just the path that had been laid out for me. So this is where we are at with the Roehl Transport. This is probably the end of the Roehl Transport chapter for now, but I made a very professional and very respectful exit with that company. So if anything ever comes back up, if something became available again, I would always consider Roehl maybe as an available opportunity. you just never know. But for now, this is where we're at, and I hope everybody, you know, if they are still considering Roehl, they, you know, just make sure that it's a good fit for you and your family and your lifestyle, and that it's what you're looking for. My experiences, you know, these are just my experiences, and hopefully this program can still work out for other people. So, and I think it is. I think, you know, like I said, my buddies are doing great in their phase 2 program, and they maybe, you know, they got paired up with a great trainer and this and that, and that's the path for them. But for me, it just didn't seem like the correct path. So that's where we're at with Roehl Phase 2. What am I doing now? My wife and I were preparing to leave for Florida tomorrow morning, tomorrow a.m., and we're heading to Florida, down to Marco Island, and we're going to spend a few days out there. Other than that, it's snowing here in Minnesota, and it'll be a nice break, be a nice breather. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. We'll keep you up to date on the next adventure, the next journey, the next course for the Vermilion Cowboy. So thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Take care. Bye.